Welcome to episode number 63 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. So if you listen to the media and the news, you're going to be hearing all kinds of things about how the younger generations just don't get it. They're lazy, self-absorbed, entitled, and buried by student loans, and they're doing silly things with credit card debt. And you're also going to hear how a lot of them are going to be living in their parents' basements until they're 30. Well, today I've got a young man, Josh Nelson, joining us, who is also my nephew. And Josh is taking a different approach with his finances. And today I want to share what he's doing to reduce financial stress and also to ensure his future success. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, how's everyone doing today? You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad, and welcome to today's show. So I'm really excited. We're taking a little bit, actually, I didn't say a little bit. We're taking a much different approach on today's show and having someone completely different join the show here today, and someone with a much younger perspective on what's happening in the world and how they are navigating through that when it comes to their finances, especially as they're just getting started as an adult. And I'd like to welcome Josh Nelson to the show. Josh is 21. He is currently a junior in college, and his major is in mass communications. Josh loves broadcasting sports events and doing camera work with TV and film, and he is currently employed as a car salesman. We're gonna have some fun with that conversation, maybe. And he enjoys playing video games, playing sports, and hanging out with his friends. Josh, welcome to the show, man. We're glad that you're here.
Hey, Brad. Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah, so I just want to share this one little thing. I didn't even tell you I was going to do this, but I'm totally doing it. But one of my earliest memories of you was when you were like 3 years old. I'll never forget this. We were at your grandma and grandpa's condo, and your dad was teaching you to fish in the pond in the back. And he had, can't imagine you remember this. You were little. I want to say you were like 3. You might have even been younger, but you were trying to cast and you couldn't do it. And you got so upset you threw the pole into the pond.
I probably would still do that.
Your dad was so mad. It was, I'll never forget that. Oh, I just had to share that. It's one of my memories that I always think of when I think of you. I always think of when you're a kid and you're trying to fish. So awesome. So anyways, let's kick this off. So real quick, can you maybe take us back to when you were younger, in your teenage years, you're growing up, obviously your mom and your dad are starting to teach you about money. What were some of the financial piece of advice that they would give you? And can you share a little bit about what you thought about some of that stuff as a younger teen and growing up?
Well, a lot of the financial advice I actually received, especially when I got my first job, teenage years, was just save as much money as you can. And I personally was kind of skeptical about that because, I'm 16, I'm starting to make money. I want to start buying, these nice shoes or a new video game console. I want to do all these things. And they're telling me to save my money for what, So that was the main piece of advice I received. And I definitely have continued that on even throughout, my 20s now.
Yeah. So obviously making that connection of saving, especially at a young age, is pretty tough. And I think there's even people that are in their 30s and 40s probably that have a hard time making that connection of saving. It's pretty hard. So what were some of the things that your parents shared with you as far as what they struggle with? Do you remember them sharing anything? Because obviously Ryan's been on our show for quite some time, and who's your dad, obviously, and has shared a lot about what they've gone through, what they've worked through. How much of that did they share with you? And did that change any of your perspective on this? Or did you kind of look at it like, that was them, I'm not going to do any of that stuff? Like, what did you think about that?
Being a teenager, of course there's that mentality, I'm never going to do that stuff. Oh, no way. Well, I mean, the good thing about it, I think, is that they've done things that, like whether it's, finance a car at high interest rates or buy stuff that they necessarily don't need. And I've kind of taken that into effect and taken that into account and realized, this is my life. And if I want to start off on the right foot and not have any debt, I'm going to have to listen to their advice, start saving money, not doing all these things with credit cards and that kind of stuff, and I'll start myself off on the right foot.
Yeah. So when you started working, because you were working at like a restaurant, I remember in your teenage years for quite some time actually, and you started getting some of those first paychecks. So when they started, I'm guessing they sat you down and said, "Hey, this is what you should be doing with some of that." Like when you actually had to start doing it, how did that feel? Like having to be able to save and maybe even thinking about even early habits of budgeting and stuff. Like, and how has that helped you even today as a young adult?
It really helped a lot because starting that process at a very young age has helped me not have any debt so far. I've been able to pay everything cash so far, any expenses I've had, any of that stuff. So the good thing is when they started me off on the right foot, I've kept on track. And since I've kept on track, I've not had any credit cards, any issues with any money at all so far. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you. So,
Thank you.
And I know this question was coming up a little bit later, but I got to ask you, like, in your social circle of friends, based on where you're at today, like, does this money conversation come up in conversations with you and your friends, or is it just kind of, because I remember when I was in my early 20s, like, we didn't talk about money, at least not with my friends anyways. It just wasn't something that came up, but like, is that still, do you still find that with your friends? Is money just not a conversation that really gets brought up amongst you guys?
Well, one of my best friends, Tyler, and I have been going to college since freshman year. I met him freshman year. And we do talk about it sometimes. We talk about, I think the thing is when you have friends, you need to have the same mindset as them a little bit, especially when it comes money wise.
Yeah.
I've had friends, in the past high school, they're not right now, they're not saving, they're not doing any of that stuff. And so to have a friend like Tyler, who actually does save, and, we talk about our financing and we're planning on moving in together. So it's something that we do talk about, and we have to figure out, okay, what's our budget? What can we afford? That kind of stuff. So it is something that we do talk about from time to time.
That's awesome. So it's just like on a very small minimal level, but it's not, I guess what maybe a bigger question is do you hear, like, in general, any sort of, feelings about finance in your age group and people you're hanging out with? Like, what would you say is like the feeling amongst a lot of people your age, you think, right now?
I would say most people that I talk to just don't care. They simply are just trying to get they're looking at the present. They're not looking at the future. So they are looking at what pays my bills and what I want material wise. They don't really talk about a budget as long as they can pay their bills either with credit card or cash. That's all they really care about. So you don't really see it that as much as you should.
Yeah. Now you're obviously a junior in college, and obviously college isn't cheap. And I'm sure your dad has definitely had conversations with you. And I know firsthand, working with thousands of people, how much student loans are wreaking havoc in people's lives. Is that people you're going to college with, people are using student loans? Like, is that something that comes up? Like, are people talking about how they're going to deal with that, how they're going to handle that? Is even the college talking about that? Is there anything that they're doing to educate you guys on, hey, after college, like, you got to be thinking about your finances and things? Is there anything that's going on with that?
I'll be honest, I don't see that much stuff. I may get an email or two that talk about it, but they talk about it for the present. They talk about, all right, hey, finance your college, pay us a lot of money. Come on. So I see a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't see a lot of future stuff because obviously college they're a business. They need to make money, and all they care about is this, the present that you're paying right now. And they could care less what you pay for in the future as long as you're making those minimum payments.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So I hope if you're listening to this and just heard what Josh said, a current college student, you've got kids getting ready to go to school, like, don't think for a second that the college is going to help set them up for financial success in the future. This is one person, but still just a perfect example that these conversations aren't happening. So as parents, we got to do our due diligence with our kids and kind of help them through this because no one else is really looking out for them. And I'm glad you brought that up. Now, you took a different approach with school. And like I said, you are a junior. You're going to be going into your senior year. Can you talk a little bit about the decision process? And maybe, Ryan, you can pipe in with us too, because Ryan's joining us too. Maybe you guys can talk a little bit about what were some of those early conversations as you were getting ready to go to college? What did that look like? I know Ryan has mentioned, you had some thoughts of maybe going to a bigger school. Can you kind of talk through that and was it hard to kind of pick something that wasn't necessarily the most ideal? And, kind of let's start there.
Yeah. I know for me personally, it was very hard because I was 18 at the time, and I'm like, I want to go to a big college. I want to party. I want to go to football games. I want to do all these social interaction things. But then, my dad set me down, and there's just, you just look at the cost difference from the college I went to the college I wanted to go. I mean, it's easily like 20, 30 grand difference per semester.
Wow.
And it's just crazy. But when we sat down and kind of talked about it, that my thought process kind of changed, and I'd rather get out of college debt free, start my life better than party for 4 years and then get out of college and have $100,000 in debt.
Dude, I love that. So as of where you sit right now today, you are very happy with what you decided to do.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I would not change a thing.
Right. That's got to make you feel.
Why didn't my dad talk to me about that? Like, I just paid off my college 2 years ago, and I graduated in 2005.
Yeah.
Well, when you say that, Amber, and it's like, we went through this, and it's like, that's why. I mean, I probably would have signed him up for school and let him get $150,000 in loans and not thought twice about it. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, does Josh like living at home with his mom and dad at 21 years old? No. Do you like him living at home?
Do you like him living at home?
No, but it's from our standpoint, I mean, we were very clear, and this is with all our kids. I mean, we did a bad job preparing and saving for their college education. We did. It just is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and say it's anything different. So if they're going to go to school, they're going to go they got to kind of go on their own dime, because we can't sacrifice our retirement and our future to send them to college. I mean, unfortunately it stinks, but that's just the way it is. Yeah. But it's very, very cost effective. You can still go to school and still graduate with a bachelor's degree in a cost-effective way if you just sit down and you think about it. I mean, if you're going to go be a dentist or a doctor, hey, by all means, go get $200,000 in loans. I don't have a problem with it so much. But at most degrees, and this is where we sat down with Josh, what he wanted to go for, this is what you're probably going to make when you get out. So if you have $100,000 and you move out and you have all these expenses, I mean, you're going to have a mortgage payment for 20 years on top of a mortgage payment when you actually buy a house. So it's just trying to think through some of that and try to show that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those conversations are the ones that are needed. And I think those are sometimes the ones that are completely missed and while I'm working and sitting down with people who have already, like you said, Amber, you've already gone to college. Now you're sitting on the other side with all these student loans. And now you're trying to figure out, okay, based on what I went to school for, number one, they're not even terribly thrilled with what they went to school for. And number two, they find out man, the salary that I have just isn't going to cut it. And Ryan, I think you bring up a good point. I mean, I think, not everybody is going to have the financial ability, whether you're debt free or you get your finances under control to help, your kids pay for college. That's not always going to be an option. But I think going through this, I 100% agree with Ryan that no matter where you live, there's definitely lots of different choices, lots of different opportunities than just saying, oh, we're just going to do this because that's what looks good. And all of a sudden, 4 years later, 5 years later, you're faced with this giant student loan bill. Hey, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk to Josh a little bit more about some of his decisions, what he's doing now, and how he's even thinking about things like retirement. Stay tuned. Hey, if you love planners, this is for you. But do you know why planners frustrate me? Because they only really get it half right. Now, sure, they're really good and fancy about helping you manage your time, which is really important, obviously. That's what a planner's for. But where they get it wrong is money, the second most valuable resource in our lives. Most planners don't include any financial planning, things like, keeping track of paydays, bills, due dates, spending, yearly expenses, budgets, cash flow planning, debt elimination plans, and goal planning, right? None of that stuff. That's a real pain. And then what? Then you got to create your own in some silly binder, right? And who has time for all of that stuff? So instead, what happens? Nothing, right? A lot of people tend to ignore their finances even more, and things only get worse. Well, that all ends today because I am so excited to announce and release my brand new, totally awesome Debt Freedom Planner. This thing's awesome, by the way. Now, before you say, Brad, I've already got a planner. This is not an ordinary day planner. This is the Debt Freedom Planner, which is a companion tool that works with your day planner, and it's built to help you manage your money, pay off more debt, and melt away financial stress. And I believe this is the tool that a lot of people who want to take control of their finances have been waiting for. So head on over to therealdebtfreedad.com, click on the Debt Freedom Planner in the menu to get access to your planner today. Hey guys, today we are back with Josh Nelson, who is 21 years old and sharing how he is navigating college expenses and starting out as a young adult in this crazy thing called life. So Josh, can you share a little bit? I mean, obviously you're just getting started, but I know even at 18, man, looking back, I made some really stupid decisions with money. Like we're talking, man, I just gotta say you're crushing it right now. Because if I look back at 18 years old, man, I made some really dumb decisions. So can you share, what are some of the money mistakes that you've made kind of working through this? Because we all make them, but what do you feel have been some that even maybe some bad habits that you have, things that you're already starting to notice?
I know for me personally, I'm a huge gamer. And what I really get into is buying microtransactions on games. And I remember being 17, 18. I mean, I remember I sat down with my dad and we saw everything that I bought just in like a fiscal year. And it was almost $4,000. And that was just on video games, just in-game goods. And that was the major thing that kind of made me realize, I could have had an extra $4,000 in savings, and now I have nothing to show for it. What am I doing with my life? So it was definitely a wake-up experience for me.
Wow, $4,000. How did that conversation go, Ryan?
Oh, it was great. Hey, here's a great tip for you. Any parents listening for their kids, sign up for paper statements from the bank. And when you get the statement in the mail, if the envelope is thin, it means they didn't use their debit card a lot. And if the envelope is thick, it means there's a lot of pages of charges. So I remember when we got the statement, one of his statements for a month, and I just like, man, this is really thick because we get them on the same day. We have to go to the same bank. And so we opened it and I just was like, all right, we need to sit down. What did I have you do? Highlight everything, right? Everything. Go through it just like we talk on the show. I want you to go in your room, take these statements. I want you to highlight every single thing that you charged that was like a non-essential. And it was like, I think like $600 and some dollars, I think that month or something. It was a crazy amount of money. Yep. That's really, and after we did that, I mean, it not to say, I'm not like a babysitter. It was just more of like, hey, do this. And then after you did it, just like our own people, you see it in our Life Without Payments groups and all that. Once you do it, it's like a punch in the gut. And he felt terrible. Like, he's just like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
And when we all have.
And when you say these microtransactions, like how much is each one roughly? Like $1?
So you can buy them in different quantities. So I would buy them hundreds of dollars at a time. So $100 for every transaction. Okay. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Awesome. Well, hey, I think, that's a great learning experience though, right there. I mean, think about it. Think about how that's going to save you in the future. That's a good one. So talk about some wins. What have been some things that you've been pretty proud of, especially at such a young age? I know your dad's talked about a few things that you've done, but maybe share some things that you're proud of, at least as, you're still a junior in college, and what you guys have been able to achieve so far.
I know for me, what I'm most proud of is that I've paid everything that I've done with college with cash. I have not used any credit cards, no student loans or any of that. So far I've got all those paid off. And then I've also got an extra 10, 12 grand, just sitting there as well in case any emergencies, and also to pay off the rest of my college tuition eventually. So those are my biggest wins.
That is incredible. So do any of your buddies know that you've gone to school so far completely student loan free so far?
Maybe one or two that I've told, but I don't tell very many people, just because, it seems like I'm bragging, and a lot of people are like, I'm drowning in debt. And I'm not being like, well, I haven't spent a penny on loans or anything. And I don't want to make them feel like they're, like they're losing or anything.
Yeah. But I mean, to be able to do it and to I mean, you've paid for all of it yourself, right?
Yep, everything. I haven't taken any money from anybody else. Just me working hard hours and getting those savings in there.
Wow. That is incredible, man. Well, you can come on this show anytime and celebrate the hell out of that, because that's awesome. Seriously, that is such a big deal. And man, you'll know one day. You'll know, but it is a really big deal. So that's awesome. I'm proud of you for doing that. Can you talk a little bit about what you do for work? Because I think that adds like an interesting kind of side to this. You know, you're in sales, which I can totally tell. You're great at speaking and very well spoken for, especially at a young age. But you're in car sales. Like, how has that helped you kind of see the bigger picture with some of this? Because I mean, you're seeing people come in and get, you know, payments and debt and things like that. And what has that done for you as far as your perspective on what most people are dealing with?
You know, it's crazy to see. I get more people that get a 28% interest rate than I see people get like anywhere from a 3 to 10% interest rate.
Wow.
These people, they've got a lot of, I've seen people transfer negative equity of over $10,000 onto a new vehicle, and that just ups their payments. So what it really has done for me is just realize how expensive everything is in life if you don't budget for it. If you're not budgeting for it, you're going to fall into a hole, and it's going to be very hard to dig yourself out of that unless you can figure out, okay, how am I going to get out of this? I see people all the time come in and they just simply can't afford it because their credit and they don't have any money for a down payment. So their payments are $700 a month. And it's like, well, maybe I can. And I'm like, you can't do it. You can't do it. You know, you see so many different situations, and
yeah.
It's crazy to see just how each situation is different from one another.
Yeah. From a down payment standpoint, if you had say 1 out of 10, like how many people are actually coming in with like a decent down payment? Are they coming in with money, or is it mostly like, man, I don't really have a down payment? I
would say almost all the down payments that I would say 90% of the down payments are $1,000 or under.
Okay.
So it's not very many people are putting a lot of money down. And when they do put a lot of money down, it makes my job a lot easier because their monthly payments are so much more affordable. The interest rate's a lot lower because people see that and they're like, okay, they're serious about, you know, purchasing a vehicle or something. But yeah, I would say 90% or 90% of people have $1,000 or less usually to put down.
Wow.
Well, Josh, talk a little bit too. You know, we've talked, you know, you've kind of talked about where, you know, there's also like, you know, people coming in and they get these high interest rates, they get these high payments, but they want to buy it. Like they're excited. They're like, man, I think, you know, like it's my birthday. I'm going to buy this for myself. And you're just kind of like, holy cow, you're going to still do this?
Yeah, no. Yeah. I've had people, the most expensive car I sold, you know, the guy, is for his birthday, and he ended up buying, you know, it's like a $40,000 Jaguar, and he had a 28% interest rate, and his payments were over $1,000 a month. And he was like, man, that's a great deal, man. That is a great deal. Yeah, man, let's do this. And
wow.
he bought it outright. I mean, he's paying $1,200. I mean, he's literally paying a mortgage on a house. Basically, it was like $1,200 a month just for a car. So I get a lot of people with the 28% that are excited because they go everywhere else and they can't get anything. Nobody else will approve them or something. And they're just happy. Hey, I can get a car. Oh, thank God, you know, and they go right for it. That kind of thing. Yeah.
And to be completely fair with Josh, he does work for a company that is, what would you call no negotiation, no haggle type place?
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this isn't something that Josh is talking people into. We just want to be very clear about that. That's not what's happening. These people are willingly like, hey, this is the offer, and they're just taking it. Yeah. I mean, that's it. Right. So can you, we talked a little bit about your social circle of friends, but have you noticed, again, what a lot of them are doing with their finances? You know, and again, we don't have a lot of people that are your age that come on the show. But are a lot of them, are they using credit cards? Are they using cash? Are they doing paying with your phone? Like, what are you seeing typically in your age group?
My age group, I see a lot of credit cards, especially with all these companies now coming out with credit cards. You got Apple coming out with it. You got Venmo, PayPal, all this stuff. So a lot of people are now able to get a credit card. So I see a lot of people my age, a lot of my friends, they've got already 2 or 3 credit cards, and that's what they're using to, buy their food or, pay for a repair on their car or something like that. I don't see people pay cash very much. I've got a couple of friends in my close circle that we're very financially aware, and we do pay cash for a lot of things, but a lot of people that I'm kind of just friends with, they're using credit cards, and they're using a lot of them.
Yeah. Can you tell me, are you like a cash person? Do you try to use cash, or do you use your debit card more often, you think, or how's that looking?
I'll be honest, I'm always debit card.
Okay.
I'll do cash every once in a now if I have it in my wallet, but almost every single time I never carry cash on me usually. Yeah. It's always on my debit card. So that's the main thing I use.
Okay, cool. So talk a little bit, because you said car repairs. So your dad recently shared a story with us several weeks ago about you had a situation where you went on a road trip, your car broke down. Can you share what happened?
Yeah, so I'm driving down the road with these 2 cute girls in the car, and I'm like, man, I'm loving life, let me tell you. And I hear a sound, and my car just everything goes out. Like, I can't steer the wheel, I can't. The air conditioning goes out. I'm like, are you kidding me? So we call my friend's dad. We get it towed to a auto repair shop, and they called me like 3 or 4 hours later, and they're like, hey, everything's messed up. It's going to be $1,000 to fix, and I believe it was a serpentine belt and my alternator is $1,000. Not a very fun day, I'll just say that.
But you had cash to fix it.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I just I gave him my debit card over the phone. Just had him do that, and it was funny because one of my friends, he was like, Josh, are you paying that with cash? I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, I'm only gonna have 10 grand left, but it's whatever. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. Now drive me to go. Let's go pick up my car. Come on.
10 grand when you're 21 years old, it's like $1 million, man.
I know. Yeah, that's what I felt like he was. That's what I felt like he was surprised by.
Yeah, that's awesome. So talk a little bit about moving out. You had kind of talked. You're looking at possibly getting a roommate. Looking at expenses, is there anything that's been surprising to you about that whole process, about looking at the costs? And I mean, you've been living at home, which is, I think a lot of younger kids, I know I did, you kind of just didn't really realize how much life was. And when you start looking at it, it's like, whoa, this is a lot. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. For me, it's, growing up and about to move out, it's like, there are so many expenses that I'm like unaware of. There's let's see, rent, you've got, water, electric, there's probably like 10 other bills I'm forgetting, but there is like so many bills that I didn't realize that are even a thing. Internet. I totally forgot you had to pay for internet. I thought everybody just got that for free. But there's just so many expenses that, and that's the reason why I'm going to have to start budgeting, because all these expenses right now are paid for, obviously, because I live at home. Yeah. Even, food, stuff like that is paid for. So it's me and my friend will have to be looking into that a little bit more and figuring out, all right, this is exactly what we're paying for every single month. And we got to figure out, what we're paying for, basically.
Awesome. So what does your job outlook look like? Like when you're graduating from college, because you got about 18 months left. What are you looking at doing? What would you like to do?
There's a lot of, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but what I really enjoy, I love sports, soccer, football, basketball. So I would really like to get into sports commentating. I'm watching all the time, taking notes, that kind of stuff. But I just adore, and I would love to share that moment, with the fans being able to announce stuff, game winners, buzzer beaters, that kind of stuff. So that would be the main goal. If not, I can definitely start out at doing camera work, that kind of stuff, working my way up. But that would be my ultimate goal.
That's awesome.
Be sports broadcasting. Yes, thank you.
Now your dad moved you down to Tennessee at a young age. Now you're still a Packer fan, right?
Of course, yeah. Boo Bears, yeah. No Vikings, no Lions.
They don't have a choice.
All right. So last question I got for you, and it's kind of a big one, and I'm sure a lot of young people don't think about it. I know I didn't, but talk a little bit about this whole idea of retirement, even at your age. What kind of conversations have you had with your parents, and what are you even thinking about that right now? And I mean, when it comes to obviously retiring, saving early and saving as often as you can is obviously key to the long-term success. So what have been some of your thoughts and things around retirement?
Well, I look towards the future a lot. I'm a person that is I look towards the future. That's my ultimate goal. And so what I've done, I actually talked with my dad a little bit, talked with dad and mom, and we actually set up it's a 401k with my work. They actually have benefits like that. And I believe I contribute about 5% of my check
Awesome.
every paycheck. And they actually match that. So it's basically I get free money basically to put money into my retirement. So that's what I've been doing in order to start saving a lot and getting. I want to do things. I'd like to retire at 50, 55. I would like to do more things when I don't want to be stuck having to work till I'm 70, 75 just because I didn't save for retirement. So I'm very much looking in towards the future and figure out how to pay for stuff.
Well, man, you keep manage your finances like this, you're going to do whatever you want, man.
Hey, I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm
serious, man. Well, congratulations to you. It's awesome to have you on the show, man. And seriously, you're doing a heck of a job, and just keep it up. And I know it's not easy, especially when nobody else is doing a lot of the stuff that you're doing. But I can guarantee you that you and your future family are going to be very thankful for the choices that you make today. And it's awesome. So good for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, what's this I see? I thought this was a party! Let's
All right. That means it's time for the celebrations of the show. And today we're kicking it off with Lacey Love. Lacey added $250 to her savings, paid off $950 in debt in just the last week. Congratulations to you, Lacey.
Christina Susui Tharp celebrating her son this week. He is saving for Oculus, and he sold books and made $40.
That's awesome. And he's young. That's really great. He's like about, 9 or 10 years old. So that's good. Good for him.
Michelle Love, no credit card purchases this week again. Money put in the envelopes and all bills are paid on time.
That is awesome. Congratulations to you, Michelle. Lauren Baird paid off student loans of $545. She says only $12,000 left. That is awesome. Good for her.
Marina Mercer paid for unexpected dental appointment, almost $700. It was really nice not to have to put it on a credit card.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Jill Brown, we made it 3 months of my husband being unemployed without using a credit card thanks to the emergency fund. Monday, he starts training for his new job.
Yeah, and I love that one. That's one of the reasons why we talk so heavily about having an emergency fund, having that savings, because you never know when those life storms are going to when they're going to hit. I mean, and this is just an awesome testament to having that savings. It's so important. So great job, Jill and her husband. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback on this video. And if you want the latest from the show, obviously be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And for the latest resources, or if you want more information on how to kick debt and financial stress, please be sure to check out the links in this video or head over to therealdebtfreedad.com. We'll see you guys on an upcoming show. Take care.